Okay, today's topic, we look at the inverse proportion, and the learning objective is to recognize and solve problems using inverse proportion. So the keyword are the inverse proportion, but before we embark on this, students should know how to multiply and divide without using a calculator and understand the principle of direct proportion. We have done that before, as explained in lesson 7.5. That was the last lesson we did. Okay, so let's look at this now. In inverse proportion, when one quantity is increasing, the other will be decreasing. That is what we call the inverse proportion. It's just the opposite of a direct proportion. And we have a graph of this form. When one quantity is increasing, the other will be what? Decreasing. Example, if we are told, or I have that in a workshop, that 20 people, give an example, if 20 people can do a work in 5 days, if 20 people can do a work in 5 days, then how many days do you think that 4 people can do it? You can see that if 20 people can do a work in 5 days, now the number of persons that are doing the work have decreased to 5. That means the number of days, will it increase or decrease? Tell me. That's fine. The number of days will go up. It will increase because the number of laborers there have decreased to 4. When they are 20, the number of laborers there, the number of days is 5. It takes 5 days to complete the work. Now they have decreased to 4 people. Now the number of days will increase. So some mistake our students always do is, in this case, you don't cross multiply, because if you cross multiply, you are talking about direct proportion. Don't cross multiply. Some will say 4 times the dividend. No, you are talking about direct proportion. So in inverse proportion, to say, if I want to solve this problem now, if 20 people did a work in 5 days, if 20 people maybe completed a work in 5 days, then one person will do the work in 20 times 5. You see that? One person will do the work in 20 times what? 5. And we are having that to be 20 times 5 gives us what? 100. You can see that one person will do the work in 100 days. So if one person can do the work in 100 days, then 4 people will do the work in 100 days divided by 4. 10 people will do the work in 100 days divided by 10. So it's quite easier to find the number of single unit. So if 20 people did a work in 5 days, one person will do the work in 5 times 20, which gives us 100 days. Therefore, we can now talk that 4 people will now do that 100 divided by 4. So 100 divided by 4 is what? 25. You can see that 4 people will do it in what? In 25 days. The number of people decrease, the number of days increase. The number of people increase, the number of days decrease. Is what we call what? Inverse proportion. Okay, let's look at this. In this question, says that at an average speed of 6 km per hour, Ahmed walked 5 hours to school. So if in 6 km per hour, Ahmed walked 5 hours to school, in 1 km per hour, it will walk 5 times 6. I hope you know that. Okay, now let's look at that. Let's take that one after the other. Okay, in an average speed of 60 km per hour, Ahmed walks what? 5 hours to school. Therefore, in 1 kilometer per hour, Ahmed will walk what? Sorry, not 66, okay? Therefore, in 1 kilometer per hour, Ahmed will walk what? Ahmed will walk 6 times what? 5. Which gives us what? Which gives us 30 kilometers. Ahmed will walk 30 kilometers. Now said, how long would it take him at an average speed of 88 kilometers per hour? So, at an average speed of 8 kilometers per hour, how long will it take Ahmed to walk? So in that case, we have that to be 30 kilometers divided by 8. So if we divide 30 by 8, we having what? We having 3.775. Please don't leave your answer this way, because we don't have anything like 3.75 hours. We have to convert the decimal fraction to minute. And please note that if you want to convert hour to minute, I have to multiply by 60. Like what I'm saying now, in this case, 3.75 means, that means what? 3 plus 0.75. Now, if I want to convert this 0.75 hour to minute, what I have to do is to multiply by 60. If it's in minute, you want to convert to hour, divide it by 60. Now, for me to convert 0.75 to minute, I will multiply 0.75 by 60. So that gives me 45. That means I'm having this to be 3 hours, 45 minutes. So it will take 3 hours, 45 minutes for an average speed of 8 kilometers per hour. Okay, now let's look at another example. In this example, we are told that a car traveling at 30 kilometers per hour takes 40 minutes to complete a journey. It takes 40 minutes to complete a journey. Since I have 40 minutes, I will convert it to hour. For me to convert it to hour, I'll divide it by what? By 60. If I divide it by 60, we have what? 40 divided by 60. We have what? 0.666 is a recurring decimal. It's a recurring decimal. So I have 0.6667 hour. I convert it because I'm solving in hour. Now, the question goes like this. A car traveling at 30 kilometers per hour takes 0.6666 hours to complete a journey. How long will it take if it traveled at 60 kilometers per hour? Now, a car traveling at 30 kilometers per hour, we take this. Then in 1 kilometer per hour, it will take 30 multiplied by 0.6667. Check. 30 multiplied by 0.6667. Okay, it's already multiplied by 30. We have it to be all 20. So that gives us 20 kilometers. Now asks, how long would it take if it traveled at 60 kilometers per hour? That means I'll divide it by what? 60. 20 divided by 60, it gives me work. 20 divided by 60, 0.333 is a recurring decimal. 0.333 hour. That is what it's going to give us. So I'm going to convert this to minutes by multiplying by what? 60. Therefore, 0.333 times 60 to convert to minutes, we have what? Times 60, we have 20. So it's going to take us 20 minutes to complete the journey. Okay, let's look at another last question. Here, we are told that 8 people can pick all the grapes in a vineyard in 10 days. So if 8 people can pick all the grapes in the vineyard in 10 days, how long would it take 5 people? Okay, now if 8 people can do the work in 10 days, now one person will do the work in 80 days. That is 10 times 8. One person will do that work in what? 80 days. See that? So how long will it take 5 people? 5 people will now be 80 days divided by what? 5. So what do we have that? 80 days divided by 5 will give us what? 16. So we have that to be what? 16 days. So 5 people will do that work in 16 days. How many people are needed to pick them in 4 days? How many people are needed to pick them in 4 days? So if one person do the work in 80 days, that means that how many people are needed to do it in 4 days? It will be what? 80 days divided by what? 4 days. So if we have, that should be what? 20. That should give us what? 20. So 20 people are needed to do it what? In 4 days. So that's how we solve the problem. Now quickly we can solve this. Also say that a car traveling at 180 kilometers per hour takes 5 hours 15 minutes to complete a journey. I'll convert this 15 minutes to hour. So that gives us, by dividing it what? 60. So we have 5 hours 15 minutes. So if I have 15 minutes divided by 60, I want to convert it to hours so that I can add it here to enable me to solve my problem. So if I convert to hour, add it here, I will have that to be 0.25. That means that here I will have 5.25 hours. So with what we saw before, we can solve this question now. How long will it take? If it traveled 100 kilometers? So 5 this multiplied by what? 180, like we did before. Wherever you have it, divided by 100, and that will give you the answer. So remember to always convert minutes to hour when solving, and after solving, you have decimal point, convert it back to what? Minute. That's how we solve the problem. Thank you for listening.